Have you ever felt like the older you get, the more it just makes sense to keep quiet in certain situations? Maybe it's not about giving up or backing down. Maybe it's about choosing peace over conflict, calm over chaos. Think about it. As we journey through life, we accumulate so much wisdom, so many stories, and yet sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is say nothing at all. But why? Why would staying silent be a sign of strength rather than weakness? What if I told you that in some moments holding back can be the ultimate act of self-preservation? A way to protect your inner peace and safeguard your dignity. Today we're diving into 7 specific moments in life when staying silent can actually be a profound act of wisdom. We'll explore how to handle family conflicts with grace, how to protect yourself from unnecessary criticism, and how to navigate tricky situations like technology and changing family dynamics without losing your cool. And by the end of this video, you'll discover that silence isn't about surrendering your voice. It's about using your voice more thoughtfully, choosing when to speak and when to let things go. So sit back, take a deep breath, and let's explore these 7 moments of quiet strength that can bring you more peace, more clarity, and more control over your life, even in the midst of life's most challenging situations. Let's begin. 1. When someone underestimates your abilities. There's a moment that many of us face as we grow older. The moment when people start to see us not as who we truly are, but through the narrow lens of our age. Maybe it's the young cashier who speaks a little too slowly, as if you can't keep up, or the well-meaning neighbor who insists on helping you with something you've done effortlessly for years, or even your own family members stepping in to assist without asking, assuming you need their help simply because you're not as young as you once were. It can be frustrating, even hurtful. After all, you've spent decades proving your competence. You've handled responsibilities, solved countless problems, and navigated life's ups and downs with grace and strength. Yet now, in the eyes of some, all of that seems to fade away, overshadowed by their assumptions about your age. And in those moments, it's natural to feel the urge to push back, to stand up and remind them of all the things you can still do to prove that you're just as capable and sharp as ever. You might feel a spark of defiance, a need to shout, "I can do this. I'm not helpless." But what if instead of reacting, you chose a different path? What if instead of defending yourself, you simply let them underestimate you? Not because you're conceding to their assumptions, but because you're choosing to conserve your energy for what truly matters. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, and the young cashier explains how to use the card reader as if it's your first time. You could correct them, tell them you've been doing this for years, or you could simply smile and say, "Thank you for explaining that." A simple, gracious response that keeps your dignity intact without wasting your energy on a pointless confrontation. Or think about that moment when a family member steps in to help with a task you could easily handle yourself. Maybe they're hovering as you navigate a new app on your phone, or trying to guide you through a simple chore. Instead of snapping, "I know how to do it," consider responding with calm confidence. "I appreciate your help, but I've got it, thank you." This approach is not about playing dumb or pretending to be less capable than you are. It's about choosing when to engage and when to let things go. It's about knowing that your worth isn't determined by how many times you prove yourself to others. When you quietly let someone underestimate you, you're not conceding defeat. You're actually demonstrating a deeper kind of strength, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. You're showing that your confidence comes not from what others think of you, but from what you know about yourself. Because here's the truth. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Your life, your experiences, your wisdom, they speak for themselves. The times you stayed strong through hardship, the moments you solved problems no one else could, the lessons you've learned and lived, those are the real proof of your strength. And when you choose to let someone underestimate you, you're not being weak. You're choosing peace over pride. You're choosing to let your quiet confidence speak for you. And sometimes that quiet confidence can say far more than words ever could. So the next time someone assumes you can't keep up, remember this: you don't need to fight to prove your worth. You already know who you are, and that inner knowing, that calm, unshakable sense of self, is the most powerful response you could ever give. Now let's move on to the next moment, where silence can be your greatest strength. 2. When family arguments or tensions arise. Family. It's where we find some of our deepest connections, but also some of our deepest conflicts. As we grow older, those conflicts can feel heavier, more exhausting, especially when they involve people we love dearly. Picture this: you're sitting at a family gathering. The table is set, the food is served, and the conversation is flowing, until someone brings up a topic that strikes a nerve. Maybe it's an old disagreement that never quite got resolved. Maybe it's a clash of values between generations, your children, grandchildren, or even siblings, all with strong, differing opinions. You sit there listening as voices get louder. Emotions rise, and tensions build, and you feel that familiar knot tightening in your chest. You know you could step in, offer your perspective, remind everyone of the bigger picture. You could try to be the peacemaker, the voice of reason. But before you speak, ask yourself, is it worth it? Is this the moment to get involved? Or is there a more powerful way to handle it? Here's the truth. As you age, you gain a unique perspective, the wisdom to see beyond the heat of the moment. You've lived through countless arguments, some that seemed monumental at the time, but faded into nothing with a bit of distance. You know that often what people are arguing about isn't really the issue. It's the emotions underneath, the hurt, the fear, the need to be heard. So what if instead of stepping into the fray, you chose to step back? What if instead of speaking, you simply listened? Imagine sitting there breathing deeply, letting the words swirl around you without getting caught up in them. You nod gently, acknowledging what each person is saying, without taking sides. You stay present, calm, unshaken. You choose to be the steady anchor in the room, the one who listens, observes, but doesn't get pulled into the storm. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you don't have your own thoughts and feelings about the situation. It's that you're choosing to prioritize peace over conflict. You're choosing to protect your own well-being, to conserve your energy for what truly matters. And here's the beautiful thing. By staying silent in those moments of tension, you often end up being the calm presence that everyone else gravitates toward. Your silence creates space for others to reflect, to breathe, to soften. It reminds them that not every battle needs to be fought. Not every disagreement needs to be resolved right then and there. Later, when the storm has passed and the voices have calmed, that's when your words can carry the most weight. You can pull a family member aside and say, "I noticed things got pretty heated earlier. Are you okay? Or I hear that you're feeling frustrated. Would you like to talk about it?" In those quieter, more private moments, your words can sink in deeper. They're not shouted over a crowd or lost in a sea of other voices. They're spoken with love, with calm, with clarity. This doesn't mean you always have to remain silent. There will be times when your perspective is needed, when your voice can bring calm or insight, but the wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when to hold back. Because sometimes choosing silence isn't about giving up. It's about choosing to protect your peace, to preserve your strength, to hold on to your dignity. It's about showing your family that true power doesn't come from having the last word. It comes from having the wisdom to know when words aren't needed at all. So the next time family tensions rise, take a deep breath. Remember that you are the calm in the storm, the steady presence that everyone else can lean on. And in that moment, you're not just keeping the peace, you're teaching them how to do the same. Now let's move on to the next moment, when choosing silence can be the wisest choice. 3. When family members make decisions without consulting you. As we age, there's a certain shift that can feel both surprising and deeply unsettling. The moment when those we once guided and cared for begin making decisions for us, without asking. Maybe it's about your health, your finances, or even your living arrangements. And while their intentions may be wrapped in love and concern, the feeling of being excluded can sting. Imagine sitting in your living room surrounded by your children as they discuss moving you to a smaller home. A safer place, they say. You listen as they talk about organizing your finances, setting up automatic bill payments, or hiring a caregiver to help with daily tasks. They're trying to be helpful. You know that. But in the process, it's as if your voice, the voice that once led the family, is suddenly fading into the background. It's easy to feel a wave of resentment rising. After all, you've spent decades making your own decisions, managing your life, and holding your ground through countless challenges. You've navigated life's storms, celebrated its victories, and weathered its losses. And now it seems like your opinion is just another piece of furniture in the room, present, but not acknowledged. In those moments, the temptation to speak up, to assert yourself, to demand to be heard, can be overwhelming. You might feel the urge to stand up and remind them, I'm still here. I still matter. But as difficult as it may be, there's another way. A way that preserves your dignity and keeps your peace intact. Instead of reacting with frustration, take a deep breath. Let the silence stretch for a moment. Then, with a gentle, steady voice, say something like, I hear that you're concerned about me, and I appreciate it. Let's sit down together and talk through this. This simple act of calmly expressing your desire to be part of the conversation does more than assert your presence. It shifts the tone. It transforms what could have been a confrontation into a moment of connection. It reminds them that your experience and wisdom are still valuable, still necessary. And here's the beautiful part. By choosing to respond thoughtfully rather than react defensively, you show them the quiet strength that comes with age. You teach them that there's immense power in composure, in not rushing to defend yourself, but in standing firm and inviting a deeper conversation. It's not about pretending you don't care or letting them take control of your life. It's about showing them that you're still the same strong, capable person you've always been. Only now your strength is quieter, more measured, and rooted in years of wisdom. So the next time they gather to make decisions for you, remember, you don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to argue to assert your presence. You can gently and firmly remind them of your place in the conversation. And in doing so, you not only protect your dignity, but also nurture the bonds that matter most. The bonds of love, respect, and connection. Let's move on to the next moment where staying silent can be a powerful choice. 4. When you encounter technology you don't fully understand. Technology. It's everywhere these days. Smartphones, tablets, apps, smart home devices. The world is moving faster than ever, and it can feel like every day there's something new to learn. And let's be honest, trying to keep up can be overwhelming, even frustrating. Think about it. You're sitting in your living room staring at the remote control for the smart TV your son just bought you. There are so many buttons, too many. Or maybe you're trying to navigate an app on your phone, and the instructions just don't make sense. You press a button. Something unexpected happens, and suddenly you feel lost out of your depth. In those moments, it's easy to feel a pang of embarrassment. You might think to yourself, I used to be so capable. Why is this so hard for me now? You might even feel tempted to hide your confusion, to pretend you understand when you really don't. Just to save face. But what if I told you that you don't have to pretend? What if instead of struggling silently, you allowed yourself to ask for help, without feeling ashamed, without feeling less than? Picture this. Your granddaughter is sitting next to you, her fingers flying across her phone screen as she effortlessly navigates an app you can barely open. Instead of staying silent or pretending to understand, you say, Sweetheart, can you show me how to do that? I keep pressing the wrong thing. In that simple moment, you're not just learning a new skill. You're creating a connection. You're inviting her to share her knowledge, to teach you something she knows well. And in doing so, you're reminding her that you're still open to learning. Still curious. Still engaged. And here's the surprising part. Younger people often love teaching their elders how to use technology. It gives them a chance to be the expert, to give back in a small but meaningful way. And for you, it's a chance to learn to laugh, to bond, to turn what could be a moment of frustration into a moment of warmth and connection. But let's be real. Not every interaction is going to be warm and fuzzy. There will be times when the instructions are confusing, when the person helping you is impatient or dismissive, when you feel like throwing the gadget across the room. In those moments, take a deep breath. Remind yourself that it's okay to be confused. It's okay to feel frustrated. After all, technology is evolving so rapidly that even people half your age struggle to keep up. It's not about intelligence. It's about adaptation. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, instead of trying to pretend you understand, try this. Take a pause. Put the device down. Take a moment to breathe and regroup. The world won't end if you don't figure it out right away. Ask for help. Reach out to someone you trust, a friend, a neighbor, a family member. Say, I'm having a little trouble with this. Can you walk me through it? Take it slow. Break it down step by step. Don't rush. Write down the steps if it helps. Embrace humility. Remember, you don't need to know everything. There's strength in admitting you need guidance. And if someone tries to make you feel small for not understanding, if they roll their eyes, huff in frustration, or brush you off, resist the urge to snap back or defend yourself. Instead, smile gently and say, I may not know how to use this yet, but I'm learning. And learning takes time. Because that's the truth, isn't it? You've spent a lifetime learning. Learning how to raise a family, how to manage a household, how to navigate challenges, heartbreaks and triumphs. You've learned more about life than most people can imagine. And if you can learn all that, you can learn how to use a smartphone too. So the next time you feel lost in the world of gadgets and apps, remember, you don't need to pretend to know it all. You don't need to hide your confusion. You can ask questions. You can take your time. You can laugh at the mistakes and celebrate the small victories, because learning never stops, no matter how old we are. And the willingness to keep learning, that's a gift. A gift that keeps you young, keeps you curious, keeps you connected. Now let's move on to the next moment where choosing silence can be a powerful act of wisdom. 5. When someone criticizes your choices or lifestyle. As we grow older, our choices become more personal, more intentional. Every decision we make, how we spend our time, where we place our money, what we eat, how we dress, is a reflection of a lifetime of experiences, lessons, and values. Yet despite all that we've lived through, there will always be people who feel the need to question our choices, to offer unsolicited advice, or to criticize the way we live. Picture this. You've just returned from a vacation, a long-awaited trip that you saved for, planned carefully, and enjoyed thoroughly. You're showing your photos to a friend or a relative, your heart still warm from the memories. And then they say it. Why did you spend so much on that trip? You should be saving your money for emergencies. Or perhaps you're wearing a colorful outfit that makes you feel vibrant and alive, and someone remarks, "That's a little too flashy for your age, isn't it?" Or maybe you've decided to eat a slice of cake to indulge in something sweet just because it makes you happy. And someone says, "You really shouldn't be eating that. You need to watch your health." In those moments, it can feel like a punch to the gut. You feel your smile falter, your mood dip. You might even start second-guessing yourself, questioning whether your choices were wrong, whether you should have done things differently. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. You don't have to justify why you took that vacation, bought that dress, ate that cake, or made that decision. You don't have to defend the way you spend your time, your money, or your energy. Because here's what they don't know. They don't know what that trip meant to you, how it reconnected you with old friends, how it gave you moments of pure joy, how it made you feel alive. They don't know why you chose that dress, how the colors reminded you of a sunset you once watched with someone you loved, how it made you feel beautiful and seen. They don't know the story behind that slice of cake, how it brought back memories of baking with your grandmother, how it tasted like comfort on a day you needed it most. Your choices are deeply personal, shaped by years of experiences, memories, and values that only you fully understand. And when someone criticizes those choices, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their limited understanding. But here's the challenge. When you're faced with criticism, it's natural to want to defend yourself, to explain why you did what you did, to justify your choices. But what if instead of explaining, you chose silence? Imagine this. You're sitting at the table. Someone says, "I can't believe you spent all that money on a vacation. That's so irresponsible." Instead of defending yourself, you smile gently and say, "I enjoyed it." Or they say, "Why would you eat that? It's not good for you." You take a bite, savor it, and say, "It's delicious." Or they remark, "You're too old to wear that." You adjust your collar, stand a little taller, and say, "I love how it feels." No long explanations. No defensive tone. Just simple, calm, self-assured responses. Because in those moments, you're not giving them the power to judge your choices. You're taking back the power to live your life on your terms. And here's the beautiful thing. When you respond calmly without explanation or defense, you're not just protecting your peace. You're sending a powerful message that your worth is not up for debate. You're reminding them and yourself that you're not seeking approval or validation. You're living your life for you. At this stage in life, you've earned the right to choose what makes you happy, what brings you joy, what makes you feel alive. You don't need anyone's permission to enjoy your money, your time, your food, your clothes, your life. So the next time someone questions your choices, take a deep breath, smile, say, "I'm happy with my decision," and let that be enough, because it is enough. You are enough, just as you are right now. Now let's move on to the next moment when choosing silence can be a powerful act of wisdom. 6. When arguments over politics or beliefs arise. In today's world, conversations can quickly turn into heated debates, especially when they touch on topics like politics, religion, or deeply held beliefs. You've probably witnessed at a family gathering that starts out pleasant and light-hearted, but then someone brings up a controversial topic, and suddenly the room is tense. Voices rise, tempers flare, and the warmth that was once shared over dinner now feels like a distant memory. You sit there watching as people you love, people who once shared laughter and tender moments, become strangers, each clinging tightly to their own opinions, desperate to prove that they're right. You know the feeling, you've seen it before. Maybe you've even been a part of it. Caught up in a debate that left you feeling drained, misunderstood, or hurt, and now as the voices around you get louder, you feel that familiar pull, the urge to jump in to state your opinion, to share your perspective, to bridge the gap between people who can't seem to find common ground. But before you speak, ask yourself, what will it accomplish? Will your words bring clarity and connection, or will they just add fuel to the fire? The truth is, some arguments are not about finding common ground. They're about proving a point. And the louder people shout, the less they're willing to listen. It's as if the desire to be right drowns out the ability to hear. You've lived through enough years to know that in most heated debates, no one really wins, even if you prove your point. Even if you have the facts on your side, the cost of winning may be too high. You might win the argument but lose the connection. And in the end, was it really worth it? Imagine this. You're sitting at the dinner table, and the conversation takes a sharp turn into politics. Your niece is passionately defending one side, while your son is equally passionate about the other. They go back and forth, their faces flushed, their voices raised. You know you could step in. Share your perspective. Try to bring balance. You have wisdom, experience, insights they haven't considered. But instead, you take a slow, deep breath. You listen, nodding occasionally. But you don't jump in. You let them have their say. You let the words wash over you without absorbing the tension. You let the debate pass like a storm cloud, temporary, fleeting, without letting it soak into your soul. And when the air finally settles, when the voices quiet down, you smile and say, "You both care so deeply about this. It's clear you're both passionate. How about we take a break and talk about something lighter?" Or perhaps you say, "I love how much you both care about this topic." Isn't it amazing how we can all see the same thing so differently? It's not about pretending you don't have your own opinions. You do. It's not about being passive or disengaged. You're still present, still listening, still part of the conversation. But in choosing not to argue, you're choosing peace over conflict. You're choosing connection over contention. And here's the beautiful part. When you don't engage in the argument, you become a calming presence in the room. You remind everyone that it's possible to hold different beliefs and still love each other. You set the example that being right isn't as important as being kind, that having the last word isn't as valuable as having a lasting bond. Later, when the dust has settled and emotions have cooled, that's when your words can carry the most weight. You can have a one-on-one conversation with your niece or your son, sharing your perspective calmly, gently, without the pressure of a heated debate. And in that quieter space, your wisdom can be heard, your insights truly considered. Because here's what you know. In the grand scheme of things, it's not the arguments that matter. It's the relationships. It's not about winning the debate. It's about keeping the door open for love, respect, and connection. You've seen the world change. You've watched beliefs rise and fall, leaders come and go, opinions shift with the tides of time. And through it all, you've learned that what truly matters isn't being right. It's being kind. It's holding space for those we love, even when we disagree. It's choosing to listen rather than argue, to understand rather than convince. So the next time a heated discussion flares up around you, take a deep breath. Let the words wash over you like a passing breeze. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to engage. You can simply be calm, steady, present. A quiet reminder that some battles are best left unfought, that some words are best left unspoken. Because in the end, the real victories aren't the ones won in arguments. They're the moments when love and understanding remain intact, even when opinions differ. Now let's move on to the next moment where silence can speak louder than words. 7. When someone tries to take advantage of your kindness. Kindness. It's one of the most beautiful gifts we can give. And as we get older, it often becomes an even deeper part of who we are. You've spent years offering a helping hand, listening with compassion, and showing up for those you love. Your heart is open, generous, and giving. But as much as kindness can light up the world, it can also make you a target for those who see your warmth as a weakness. Picture this. You're sitting at home, sipping your afternoon tea, and the phone rings. It's a distant relative, someone you haven't heard from in years. They're suddenly interested in how you're doing, showering you with compliments, telling you how much they've missed you. And then, just when you're starting to feel that familiar warmth in your heart, they ask for a loan, a substantial amount of money for some urgent need. Or maybe it's a neighbor who's always been friendly, always quick with a smile. They ask for a favor, to borrow your car to stay at your house for a few days, to help them out financially. They assure you it's just this once, but deep down you sense that it won't be the last time. Or perhaps it's a salesperson, charming, smooth, persistent, insisting that you need to invest in some must-have product or service. They talk fast, make it sound like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and subtly imply that you'd be foolish to pass it up. In these moments, it's natural to feel torn. You want to help? That's who you are. You want to believe in the goodness of people, to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's a part of you, that small, quiet voice, that whispers, something doesn't feel right. And that voice, that's your wisdom speaking. That's the intuition you've cultivated over a lifetime. And it's worth listening to. But how do you respond without causing conflict? How do you protect yourself without feeling like you're being unkind or ungrateful? The answer is simpler than you think. You don't have to say yes or no right away. You don't have to make a decision on the spot. You can buy yourself some time. time to think, time to reflect, time to seek advice if needed. Imagine this. The relative on the phone is pleading for money. Instead of saying yes or no, you take a breath and say, "I need some time to think about it. Let me get back to you." Or the neighbor is asking for a favor that feels too much. You smile kindly and say, "I'll have to think it over. I'll let you know." Or the salesperson is nudging you to sign a contract right now. You calmly respond, "I don't make decisions quickly. Let me take a day or two to consider it." These responses may sound simple, but they're incredibly powerful. You're not saying yes and getting caught up in something you might regret. You're not saying no and risking unnecessary conflict. You're simply giving yourself space, the space to think clearly, to weigh your options, to check in with that inner voice that knows what's best for you. And here's the beautiful thing. The people who genuinely care about you, who truly have your best interests at heart, will respect your need for time. They won't pressure you. They won't rush you. They'll understand that your kindness is a gift, not a given, and they'll treat it as such. But those who are looking to take advantage of you, they might push harder. They might try to guilt you, to manipulate you, to make you feel like you're being selfish or unreasonable. And that's when you'll know. When they can't respect your boundaries, when they demand immediate answers, when they get frustrated by your hesitation, that's when you'll know that their intentions were never truly about you. So what do you do then? You stay calm. You stay kind. You stay firm. You repeat, "I need some more time," or "I'm not comfortable with that." Or simply, "I'm not able to help right now." And you don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. You don't owe anyone a detailed reason for protecting your peace, your finances, or your time. Your kindness is yours to give, not theirs to take. Because here's the truth. True generosity doesn't come from guilt or pressure. It comes from a place of abundance, a place where you feel strong, secure, and at peace. It's not about saying yes to everyone who asks. It's about saying yes to what feels right for you, and no to what doesn't. Over the years, you've given so much. Your time, your love, your resources. You've been a rock for others, a safe harbor, a listening ear. And now it's time to give to yourself, to give yourself permission to protect your kindness, to set boundaries, to say no without guilt or shame. Because your kindness is a gift, a precious, valuable gift, and it deserves to be honored, protected, and shared with those who truly appreciate it. So the next time someone tries to take advantage of your generosity, take a deep breath. Pause, listen to that quiet inner voice, and remember, you don't have to decide right away. You don't have to justify yourself. You just have to trust yourself, because you know what's right for you. You always have. Now, as we wrap up this series of moments when silence can be your greatest strength, let's take a step back and reflect on the power of choosing when to speak and when to stay quiet. As we come to the end of this journey, let's take a moment to breathe, to reflect on what we've learned. Life has a way of teaching us that sometimes the most powerful response isn't what we say, but what we choose not to say. It's in the quiet pauses, the gentle nods, the calm silences, that we find our greatest strength. We've explored 7 moments when holding back, when choosing silence over reaction, can protect our peace, our dignity, and our well-being. Whether it's dealing with family decisions, enduring underestimation, navigating heated arguments, or guarding your kindness from those who might take advantage, you now hold the key to finding calm in the storm. Remember, staying silent isn't about giving up or being weak. It's about choosing where to invest your energy, when to step back, and how to protect the precious peace you've earned over a lifetime. Because at this stage, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to fight every battle or win every argument. You already know who you are, strong, wise, and deeply deserving of the peace you seek. So the next time life pulls you into a situation that tests your patience or challenges your boundaries, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this a moment where silence can speak louder than words? If you found these insights helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Let me know in the comments, which of these 7 moments resonated with you the most? Thank you for watching, for listening, and for sharing this space with me. Until next time, stay calm, stay kind, and remember, sometimes the most powerful voice you have is the one that chooses to stay silent. Take care.